mix?
Yeah, it's a very deep question, and it's hard to give a... Well, yeah, I need to think through it really. But I think for sure, something that for me gives me a sense of heaviness is tightness in performances. At least in the modern sense of like this kind of more mechanical, industrial type, military-esque, warlike heaviness. It's about all of the things hitting at the same time and generating like this kind of oneness of the sound. So talking about the bass, you know, when you've got a distorted bass guitar, which is really adding huge amounts of kind of richness to that lower end, and combining with the guitars in this way that makes it sound like one massive floor to ceiling sound, punctuated so that every attack is hit with a kick drum, and you've got like this punch of the snare as well. It's like the sum of all those parts together gives me, if I think about it, that sensation of a huge object, you know, the heavy aspect. And for me, and I know this is very different for other producers, when things get too far out of alignment, when they're too human sounding, I'm not saying that everything needs to be 100% on the grid, but when stuff starts to not be as locked in anymore, you start to lose that element. Now, maybe that generates a different kind of element. If you think, you know, of a huge army of people, they're not 100% in sync. They're, you know, I mean, unless they're robots or whatever, but like, this is all very, very imaginative, I guess. But, you know, there are plenty of huge sounds we encounter in nature and in life that are not these incredibly kind of single punch, single wall of sound kind of aspects. And I guess the performance somehow needs to invoke one of those things, or maybe multiple at the same time, you know, chucking heavy string arrangements on top of a more basic rock band thing. Maybe he's layering a couple of different feelings of heaviness. But I think for me, the bands that stand out as like they are the absolute heaviest kind of have just mined that one source, like Meshuggah, let's say, where it's like it's so refined in this deep mechanical kind of psychopathic, unknowable, universal kind of sense of heaviness that it would be kind of weird if they started throwing like strings on top or kind of bring too much of like a kind of sludgy, disgusting kind of grindcore element to it or something. Like it just somehow wouldn't, I think it would be kind of too confusing.
Sure.
So I feel like I'm giving you a very wavering answer, but that's the kinds of things I'm thinking of. You mentioned metalcore, and for me, metalcore riffing plays off a lot of classical themes. There's a lot of that kind of minor scale, harmonic minor scale thing done, harmonized stuff as well. It's kind of like what you hear when you hear classical music, or romantic music really, or Baroque, all those kinds of things. So, yeah, I just think the different genres are kind of pulling from different real world cues that they're probably not super aware of, and also musical, cultural heritage that comes in as well from another side, and they're kind of fusing it in different ways.
Fascinating.